Hi everyone, I'm Zeiss, and on this channel I turn you into an RPG master. So if that's something you're interested in, make sure to smash the subscribe button and keep in touch. So in today's video, what I'm gonna do is comment on the latest patch notes currently on Diablo 4. That's 1.4.1 for all platforms, and it's gonna be released on May 28th. Okay, so first things first, you don't have to agree with me. Let me know in the comments if you don't on whatever I say. I'm fine with that. And the other thing is, I'm not going to do TLDR videos ever. Why? Because we need to make adequate and informed choices in order to actually play better. The rest is just skill and discovery and strategy, right? Things like that. Well, let's dive in. Let's see what this is about. The enchanted window now explicitly informs you that you can't reroll into a greater affix. Well, depends on what exactly they mean by this, because for example, let's say you have 1500 life, right? And you can reroll this affix, and if you keep rerolling it and you're not satisfied with what it is, you can actually get back to the same 1500 life, but anything else you roll will not be a greater affix. So what they probably mean here is that if you roll something different, it won't be a greater affix like the one you are rolling, which is quite the thing, right? Because when you get an item with 3 greater affixes, it is oftentimes not the 3 you actually want. But I'm fine with this thing. I think it's a good idea, because getting such a powerful item is it should be rare. Not to mention, then you can actually brick it, or let's put it this way, make it usable for another build. Hope it makes sense. If it didn't, you're beyond saving. Hellborn enemies in Helltide now deal additional fire damage with their attacks. I don't necessarily approve this, because I think they're dangerous as they are. But if they want to make them even more dangerous, hardcore players beware, like me included. I didn't notice them to be very dangerous, but when at the Blood Maiden, I actually saw a lot of people dying there, and she spawns quite a few of those, right? So that's gonna make it even more interesting now. Probably I'm gonna see even more people dying there. Let's see. Masterworking materials can now be directly transmuted instead of requiring the opening of materials cache to receive them. Well, that's actually one of the things that I suggested during the PTR. Probably I'm not alone on this, and I'm glad that they finally decided to do this. That's pretty good, because those caches, they're not tradable, and they're like account bound. You can't do anything with them except just open them and get the materials. Now this will save a lot of time, and you can't sell them back to get your materials back, so why even bother, right? No idea why it was not like this in the first place. Once masterworking is unlocked by one character, it's now always accessible on all characters across realms. Well, that is good, because sometimes I move things in level 1 Muse. Not sure if that's gonna work for them, but we'll see about that. Maybe I'll do a follow-up. Let's say I wanna do like a different build, and I move things in a Mule, so I keep gathering those greater affixes in my stash, and it's like full of them, right? Hope it makes sense. Gold cost of masterworking has been reduced. Yeah, right. So us folks who did it now, we're kinda screwed up. Alright, new prices look good. I guess nothing to comment there, right? And it's coming on 28th, now is the 24th, so pretty soon. We want to make the main push for masterworking to be forced on the acquisition of materials, or less focused on needing the gold. Well, that's a really good idea, actually. Price approves. We want to avoid the possibility of having the materials available but needing to take the extra time to collect the gold, which is probably usually the case. The armor cap is now displayed in the tooltip when hovering over armor in character stats. Well, what about console? Can we get this please on what's it, the additional tab where the resistances are and like where all the basic stats are, which are like intelligence, dexterity, strength and all that? Can we get this there please? Because I'm actually still using since season 1 an armor calculator, so I make sure to get the cap when fighting higher level monsters. Well, now that's just during the leveling, but still I'm fighting higher level monsters during leveling, so I get more XP. Why would I want to fight monsters the same level? They're too weak anyway, right? The surge damage from sorcerers and enhanced charge bolts has been increased. Charge bolts? Really? We investigate an issue where the surge from an enhanced charge bolt was happening too frequently when enemies were tightly stuck together, which caused performance issues. Okay, that's why. We also found that surge damage was doing less damage than intended, while the piercing static aspect was equipped. Yeah, that's a sort thing. Like, should we care? I don't know. While fixing those two issues, see bugs below. Okay. It was decided that a 50% buff to the surge damage would compensate for reducing how often it procs when enemies are stuck together. Well, the thing is, maybe it would have been better that they actually fixed the problem instead of buffing it, right? Like, make it proc more. But that might not be really healthy for the game, like having too many things happening on the screen, right? This is not PoE, right? By the way, because of the new hell type changes, I hope they don't include like higher density, because it's gonna turn into this senseless combat, especially on party play when you have no idea what is happening on screen. And it's happening at the Blood Maiden already, and that's maybe one of the reasons why people die, especially if they have the damage numbers turned on. So let's say, for example, when I go now to a tier 60 pit right now, it's like clouds of damage, and I have oftentimes no idea what's going on beneath them. Like, for example, when I use bomb prison and then trap enemies off screen, so I can actually deal my optimal damage. Yeah, that's a thing, for example. And I just see a big yellow and orange numbers, and I have no idea what I'm fighting, especially if it's like in another room or something. And oftentimes that's the case. I have no idea what I'm fighting actually, until I see some mechanic from the monsters maybe, or if I read the name on the health bar of the current enemy, right? The drop rates of scattered prisms have been increased. Whoa, I mean, yeah, finally. From multiple sources. Okay, let's see. Treasure goblins now drop scattered prisms more often. Chance in... okay, that's not much, but it's still okay. So we have a reason to do world bosses, right? I think I wasted like a few dozen already. Not that many actually, because most of the items that I actually need, they drop with sockets. But in any case, I think that's a good change, so I approve. World bosses now always drop scatter prisms, and the amount they drop increases by world tier. Well, wasn't that like always the case? Seriously? Okay. How could they do that? But previous seasons, I remember ending up with literally maybe thousands of them, so I guess that's a good change. So it actually has some value now. What bothers me while we're talking sockets is there is no gem exchange, right? For example, Ruby is quite problematic now. I end up having hundreds of thousands of the other fragments, but Ruby, they're always disappearing. Why? Because they're the most effective, right? Health, and you're probably gonna need some fire resistance on at least of one of your jewels, and that makes like over 100,000 ruby fragments per character. Yeah, imagine that. especially if you wanna play outs without gem exchange. I would appreciate if there's like gem exchange, even if it's like 1 to 10. Why not? Wanna get something? Wanna get 10,000 ruby fragments? Pay with 100,000 skull fragments or sapphire segments or whatever, right? That would be really good. But unfortunately for now it's not the case, and they're not tradable or anything, so we're kind of fucked here again. But I hope they reconsider. Now, the butcher will always drop scattered prism on defeat. Actually, what I noticed that the butcher in the high tier nightmare dungeons is quite funny now. I'm talking like 90 plus or something. And also, while they're talking butcher dropping scattered prisms, I hope they may also make like those snakes and shamans, lightning shamans of the goatman, which are actually maybe the most dangerous thing in the game. This lightning, man, it's just insane. There's nothing like it. I mean, even the echo of Lilith is not so dangerous. Come on, what is wrong with those guys, right? I'm talking about the ones who throw a trap, right? And it's channeling between them and this trap. It's just nuts how bad it is. Reworked item stat comparisons to be more intuitive when the same stat appears on an item multiple times, which most often occurs when with tampered items. Yeah, that's actually quite good change, and I hope they don't screw it up like on season 2, because that was really bad. It was so wrong. It was just terrible. Comparing items was just terrible. Let's see, what's this? If you compare items stats and it had a value appear twice, such as cooldown reduction, it would display those two different values individually. We have now updated this to combine those. Okay, that would make sense, right? But if so, okay, the whisper bounty requirements for defeating Hellborn has been reduced. Well, defeating 3 to defeating 1. Okay, that's pretty good then, because they're having in mind they are deadlier now, right? Developers note: we made this change to compensate for a bug fix that can be seen further down the patch notes. Okay, let's see those bugs fixes. Accessibility: fixed an issue with the screen reader, whatever. Fixed the issue with the screen reader, whatever. Well, that's probably gonna useful for those who need it. In my case, I'm just generally gonna skip it because I don't use it. But let's see. User interface, but again, I'm glad that they make those things, right? Because people might actually need them. Anyway, fixed an issue where the bloodmarked players could not send party invites to each other. Actually, that happened to me. I was bloodmarked and I left the PvP area, right? And there was someone inviting me for a boss rotation. And the thing is that we tried to relog and all that, and what worked was going back to the PvP area, marking myself for blood again, and then going back to the PvP town at the altar to cleanse myself, and then the party invite finally worked. So relogging, not a thing. That's what works. Have in mind if you encountered this problem. But they will fix it in a few days, so I guess. Right, nothing further here. Fixed an issue where trading goat to a player at the goat cap would exit the trade without any feedback to the player. I don't usually trade, so no idea what they're talking about here. Fixed multiple instances where skill tooltips did not update after being affected by sorcerer enhancements. Right, that's what they were talking probably about, the one above. Fixed an issue where the tooltip for tampering rerolls was inconsistent. How was inconsistent? Fixed an issue where the preview and comparison tooltip values for tampered amulets and 200 weapons were inaccurate. Well, they were mostly inaccurate before, and glad that they fixed them. And now with this, that would make it pretty good. Fixed an issue where the way interacting with tampering recipes was inconsistent between keyboard and mouse play and controller play. Yeah, on controller the problem was like resetting the tampering, but now it's added again, so that's pretty good. Fixed an issue. Okay, wait. Fixed an issue where the master working menu could become locked when switching world tiers. I never had that, but I guess looks like a good fix, so I'm glad they did this. Fixed an issue where the icons for denoting levels of master working on an item were inconsistent. Okay. Oh. Fixed an issue where the progress section on the trial screen would fail to update when a new class completes the gauntlet for the first time on the same account. People still play this? Like, wasn't it like really boring? I scored 3rd place on the first week and then like played 1 day on the second one and got 10th place, and I never played it ever since. Let me know in the comments if you wanna see me play this. I probably don't wanna play it, but we'll see. If it's rewarding, like I could do it. I could run it like once a week just to participate without any effort. So whatever happens. Fixed an issue where several skills newly labeled as core skills such as kick and firewall and bone spirit, for example, would not come up when searching for core skills in the skill tree. Yeah, fixed an issue where saving changes in the wardrobe by switching tabs would not reflect the changes. I actually used this just a few times. It's not really important to me, but I guess it's a good change. Fixed an issue where Soul Death's dialogue was missing a line after defeating the Blood Maiden. Okay. This is actually the guy who is managing Donald's mansion. Right? Wasn't it? Fixed an issue where the visual size of stun grenades did not increase with the actual effect size using the tamper graphics that increases their size. That's the rogue thing, right? Grenades. Fixed an issue where the greater graphics icon on an item overlapped with socketed gems. Actually, I never had this. Really weird. Probably on some small resolution. I play on 4K at 120, no such problem. I didn't notice such a thing. Or maybe on like a larger font size. That could be there. Probably it's there. I'm playing with the smallest font size possible in the options. Fixed an issue where item stat comparisons were incorrect when one of the items involved in the comparison had 2 different sources of the same item stat. Now, we already talked about this above, right? Now, multiple sources of the same stack will be condensed into a single value for item comparison purposes. Again, Zeiss approves, pretty good. Fixed an issue where the tooltip for veiled crystals could be seen in the replace affix menu when enchanting an item. I never had this, right? But like fixed an issue where stacks of baneful hearts did not display as multiple when on the ground. Yeah, actually. Interesting. And where is actually this thing that when you pick something from the ground, there was some notification above the regular HUD, and now it's gone. It was on the PTR, but it's not there now. I'm pretty hopeful here that they add it again, because most of the times I just don't bother to read what I'm picking up. As long as it's not yellow text, I'm just picking it up, or white or blue respectively. After level 5, right? Who's picking up those things? Anyway, well, elixirs, right? That's a different story. Okay, let's see what else. Fixed an issue where the pop-up would mistakenly state that the new pit tier had been unlocked when it had not actually unlocked. Yeah, I actually didn't have this, but what I would want to see is like a pin for the pit tier, because I'm not willing to run the highest tier that I cleared all the time, right? I usually go back. Let's say I'm running 61. right? And I cleared it and it opens for me 63, but I don't want to run 63 yet. Or what if I want to go back to 31? Just an example, screw the numbers, right? But I hope you get the idea. Now what we can do now is just scroll up. Probably on PC it's really easy, but on console is an absolute hell, because you have to wait for each value to go up on the list and then turn it on. I mean, that's a huge waster there, guys. I hope they introduce some kind of stick pin to the tier number, so we don't have to like scroll up every time. That's really stupid, and I don't know why I did not put it there in the first place. Okay, let's see what else. Fixed an issue where the penalty timer applied to mastery for dying in the pit would still display even after mastery timer has expired. Like, I can't really comment on this, because if I die, I just start over. I don't play softcore. I have no idea what they're talking about. I have no experience with this bug, right? Fixed an issue where tier 130 for the pit in the artificers list was incorrectly labeled as 131. Okay, that's fun. Fixed an issue where hell-tight chests in world tier 1 and 2 took 3 seconds to open instead of 1.5 seconds. Yeah, I remember they changed that, but looks like they didn't apply the fix for the faster channeling here on this. Fixed an issue where objective markers did not display on the map when this confront Doomsayer's whisper was active. I should take note. They should usually be the square, right? That's it, I think. But they're not displayed. I didn't notice them. What I noticed is it shows the raised buildings, but this one, no. So if you can actually see them now, that would be good. Fixed an issue where the button to start the gauntlet did not display that it is unavailable during the rotation blackout period when it rotates each week. Yeah, that's for like 1 hour or 2 or something. Actually like 2, as far as I remember. Various misc fix and quality of life improvements for the tampering, masterworking and codes of power menus. Let's see. I'm eager to find out what these are. Let's see what's this on PC only. Fixed issues with NVIDIA DLSS frame generation, a setting available to players with NVIDIA 4000 series graphics cards. Yeah, I remember that was a thing. It was actually a thing on the PTR, and then it went also during the season. So what I'm guessing here is they were working with some different builds, or they did not include the library while they were building their game. Imagine that, right? Probably that was the thing. And how could you turn on a setting which requires something which is not present in the current build of the game? Yeah, good luck with that one. Okay, setting has been re-enabled. Gameplay. Well, let's see the gameplay changes now. Is that a really long list? Looks like not much, so we're ending anytime now. Helltide fixed an issue where hellborn enemies that despawned after player death, again no idea, but let's read it, would drop loot. Despawned? Well, again, in my case, I don't care about this because I can't pick up this loot. Maybe someone else could. Imagine softcore players abusing this. Softcore players, you have 4 more days to abuse this. Just go die. Someone dies from your party and pick up the loot from those guys. I'm just messing with you, of course. They don't drop anything useful except those mind cages, which you probably have plenty of by that time when you actually go meet those guys, right? Fixed an issue where Helltide zealots could spawn underground. I didn't notice this, but I guess it's a good fix because I remember On release, there was such a problem with various monsters. They were going underground or below stairs or anything. It was not that often, but it happened every now and then. And if the monster is part of some objective, that was pretty messed up because it was a progression blocker, right? Okay, let's move on here. Fixed an issue where screaming hellveins could be looted multiple times when in a party. Yeah, that's interesting, but now they drop just one soul and like a few fragments or whatever, that they're not something so special like they used to be, and souls are pretty much everywhere. But I guess it's a good fix, right? Making everything better and as it should be. Fixed an issue where aberrant cinders did not reset when logging back into an active hell tide with a character that previously had cinders. Okay, that's a good one. That's a really good one. I mean, now they don't keep the progress of cinders, right? Fixed an issue where aberrant cinders did not reset when logging back in to an active hell tide with a character that previously had cinders. So, if you go out now from the hell tide and if you have cinders, for whatever reason, like change something, get an item, or just switch the character you want to do the hell tide with, no cinders. I'm not sure that I actually agree with this, no matter that they're pretty easy to get now. It was easy to get thousands of them before, and now it's just like a walk in the park. But again, I don't really approve of this, because what happened to me, I'm probably gonna make a video about it. I was walking during the hell tide and I was going south. I think it was in Skull's Glen or Dry Steps, I don't know, not sure now, we'll check. But what happened is, while I was going south, and I immediately just saw the game startup screen, the Diablo 4 logo and the hell gates and all that, and it was like the next frame I saw, so it was like insta disconnect without anything, no warning on the screen, no reconnecting, no nothing, just instant. I'll make sure to make a video about it, probably gonna be short, just showcasing it. So in such cases, right, I don't think that's a really good change. I don't know if it happens often, and the sad thing is it didn't trigger, I think, the scroll of escape. And when I started with the same character, I was on the same place where I was, and fortunately my character was alive. But again, let's see what they plan to do about this. I'll make sure to check it and like relog during hell tide to see what happens. Fixed an issue where the damaging effect from Spires of Corruption did not match the visual effect. Yeah, those are actually terrible. So really important fix here. Fixed an issue where the trembling mass enemies could infinitely respawn. Why? That's a good thing, no? Abusers of the game will probably gonna love this. Okay. Fixed an issue where enemies during the Waves of Darkness could engage and chase nearby iron wolves, which made earning mastery for the event more difficult. Well, yeah, definitely, because monsters all over the place, unless you play Blood Surge Necromancer, where you just push a button and off-screen everything. It's the best for Helltide, I think. Anyway, right? Fixed an issue where Hellborn disciples spawned during a Blood Maiden encounter counted towards the Coat of Hellborn with their objective. Well, that's the thing, they should count. Why is this even an issue? Why is that an issue? I have no idea. Probably they want you to kill a specific Hellborn, which is not spawned by the Blood Maiden, which is additional seeking and time wasting, while you can just go there because you know she will spawn them eventually. If you even let her, right? If you don't one-shot her, she will do that. Anyway, the Hellborn disciples that spawn while fighting the Blood Maiden do not count as Hellborn in other contexts, such as the fact they do not drop loot like normal Hellborn. Yeah, that's the thing, but normal Hellborn, they don't drop anything. They just drop a mind cage and a few rares. And that's it. I don't think I even got a legendary from those guys. And they are hard as fuck. I mean, like the Bloodseekers, remember those guys? Well, if your build is actually worth something, you probably kill them in less than a second or like very fast. But if you just got to level 100, didn't tamper, didn't masterwork, didn't level your glyphs to max and all that, they can be pretty tough, especially if you're focusing on multi-target skills, right? For faster clear to get your leveling done faster, right? And things like that. Okay, anyway, like the change is to ensure these enemies are treated consistently. Yeah, the change is to ensure that you're wasting your time to actually go and find those, right? Just kidding, of course. Fixed an issue where thread progress could become permanently locked if the player exited Helltide while thread was near zero. I didn't notice such a thing, but I don't actually remember leaving while in a Helltide, except that one case I was describing previously, just a few minutes ago, right? Fixed an issue where Hellworms could sometimes leave behind invisible walls after disappearing. I never had this problem, but there were invisible walls all over the place, and not only on Helltide, like on many places. And probably that's the reason, but I'm thinking also on places where they could not have spawned, simply because there is no Helltide there. But let's see. Fixes about the pit. Fixed an issue where orb beams from the Den Mother could damage players before they had been released. Oh, sounds fair. Let's see. Let's actually see if that's the thing that kills so many people. Fixed an issue where you could only interact with the pit obelisk if you had rune shards in your inventory. Well, who doesn't? It's like clearing tier 46 nightmare dungeon to get some of them, and you can actually run a few pits and then go back. That's what I would do after level 90. I think that's like the best thing to rotate between the two. Fixed an issue where rune shards could drop in the world tier 3 nightmare dungeons. Never had this problem. Actually, this season the problem was getting nightmare dungeon sigils in the first place. That was extremely hard because the Tree of Whispers, it was bugged. And I think I didn't get any dungeons until I got to like playing for 20 hours or something. That was just terrible. So imagine, instead of leveling my first character for like 10 to, let's say 10 hours, right? 10 to 15 hours, if you're not rushing, that's totally fine. Without leveling the glyphs, that was, imagine the hell I've been through. So, okay, never mind. Skills and class mechanics. Fixed an issue where the surge damage from enhanced charge bolt was exploding too often on enemies that were stacking together, as noticed previously. Yeah, well, I hope they know what they're doing, but looks like they're kind of implementing things that are not really healthy for the game, like too much things happening on the screen, or them causing performance issues, right? Okay, let's see. Fixed an issue where the surge damage from hard charge balls, yeah, same thing, was doing less damage. Yeah, already talked about this. Fixed an issue where the druid spirit boon overload damage as physical damage instead of lightning damage. It was physical damage. Okay, that's a funny thing. Fixed an issue where the aspect of the alpha did not properly mark the wolf skill as a werewolf skill in game. Druid companion, folks, you're saved. Fixed an issue where boulders, boulders, I've heard people talk about this, but let's see. Fixed an issue where boulders orbiting the player from the Doman Stone Amulet could stop doing so indefinitely when destroyed by projectile destroying entities, such as suppressor fields or monster stone walls. Yeah, walls. Huh, okay, that's quite the problem, but it will be fixed then. Fixed an issue where Barbarian's Bash was dealing multiplicative damage instead of additive damage when combined with the tampering affix that caused Bash to cleave. Sounds like fun, right? Fixed an issue where rapid fire used with the Scoundrel's Kiss unique ring had a further range than intended, allowing enemies to be damaged and defeated off screen. Poor rogues. I feel bad for them now. Oh, so I don't know, but there are such things in the game, like where your actual most optimal damage of the skill is off screen unless you play on an ultra wide, which I kind of understand. They want you to master it and they want you to not have an advantage on this thing, especially if you have the hardware which allows you to utilize this, right? But it was a thing back on release with teleport, for example. Just controller players were quite underpowered because of this. Like, you can't teleport over a large distance simply because you don't see it and you can't hover over it and go there. Now that's a similar thing here, and there's something else I want to mention here, especially for my channel. It is Bone Spear, right? The Necromancer's Bone Spear. If you use the Deathless Visage, the most optimal damage radius is very far off screen. Is actually so far off screen that there's one explosion after your visibility area, and also the place where the Bone Spear is splitting into splinters and returning back into 3 or 5 if you crit. So doing your optimal damage of 8 hits, it's only possible if you have the bug for an ultra wide screen. I just don't know what to say. No comment, draw your own conclusions, right? General, let's see what the general fixes are. Fixed an issue where the walls spawned by the elites with the Waller affix could be destroyed by other monsters coming into contact with them. Well, thank you, but that should be a thing actually. That should be a thing. Why not? Why no friendly fire? What's wrong with that? So for example, if I know it's kind of out of context, but let's say I cast a spell and I want to target someone, right, or something, and there's something else on the way and it doesn't pass through, it just doesn't do anything to it. Why would that be? So would those walls then also like block projectiles and ranged attacks from other monsters? We're gonna make sure to find out about that one, because that's quite the thing now, right? Unless you do some ranged build which actually has to aim, that's quite the problem here, right? Let's see, Hell's Legions care little when it comes to morality, but they do not mess around with keeping walls up to code. I mean, that's a pretty big bullshit explanation right there. Why no friendly fire for those monsters? That should be a thing actually. Well, we'll see how it goes. Fixed an issue where the head librarian in the sunken library could spawn behind the locked door, which could block progression. That's okay. Good fix. Fixed an issue where items drops in the Cathedral of Light had a higher level requirement than they should. They're like, what, 42, 43, 43, 44, something like that. That's fine. The problem is that now you can actually clear this in like level, I don't know, 27, 30, maybe? Depends. But whatever drops there cannot be equipped right away anyway, right? You do that, you go at least 15 levels below that, usually. So I'm not really surprised, but I haven't noticed this thing. Fixed an issue where items drops from in the Cathedral of Light higher blah blah blah. Okay, that's the thing I already read. Fixed an issue where endgame bosses, Uber Duriel for example, could still drop gear that was lower than a rare quality. That was actually a very interesting thing to notice. Like, I had lots of blues and whites, no problem there. It's a typical thing for a Diablo game. Why fix this? It's not a problem at all. It's just you can do more runs without going back to town to sell those things, right? So you don't pick up the whites in the magic items. But remember, for example, back in Diablo 2, what Duriel used to drop? Mostly scrolls of Town Portal and the occasional unique, if you even run it, because if you wanna run it, you have to go through the Arcane Sanctuary first, go to the Summoner, check all the sigils there, right, and see which one is the correct one, because it was the one which was not displayed where the Summoner is in the Arcane Sanctuary, and you specifically had to go first kill that guy, and nobody would want to farm that, especially having in mind you're gonna waste a few minutes and then you're gonna end up being rewarded with a few scrolls which just cost a double-digit gold, which probably would have like millions and billions at the time. Right, so what was the slogan? Return to darkness, right? Well, that's not return to darkness for me. Fixed an issue where the end game bosses were dealing more damage than intended in certain scenarios. Like, which certain scenarios? Do we have to go die to them to find out? I guess. Or waste scrolls and waste our time, because they don't specifically say what the problem is, so we know to avoid it while we're waiting for this patch. Like, I don't know why they do that, because they expect us to like believe it's fixed and not notice or whatever. But the more details, the better, I believe. Fixed an issue where the shrine could not reset after you take a teleport out of a dungeon and then re-enter. For real. Fixed an issue where cooldown reduction granted by the following tempering affixes was less for higher tier recipes. Fast gauge, yeah, and just the topic is quite enough. Okay, let's move on here. Fix the debuff from the beast in the ice boss fight, persisting after death and stacking unintentionally. I can't really test this because if I die, you know what happens. I'm gonna have to re-level again and do everything from scratch, so... Anyway, let's see the misc changes. Fixed an issue where the Blood Maiden's Mantle Trophy cosmetic dropped by the Blood Maiden didn't function properly. What do they mean that it didn't function properly? Like it's shaking differently on the horse's back, or what do they mean not function properly? I didn't have this bug, so if you had it, let me know in the comments, so I can get an idea of what this is. Fixed an issue where the leave dungeon animation would play, but the actual portal would stop if the portal was started while moving. How could you even start a portal while moving? It requires channeling, it doesn't happen immediately, like the scroll of escape. How could you, like, maybe on PC, if you point with the mouse for the character to go to a place, and in the meantime open the emote wheel and then start it? That could be a thing, I guess. Probably that's how. Fixed an issue where Andario's rotating laser was invisible. Yeah, invisible when VFX quality was set to low. That's interesting. Fixed an issue where taking a town portal right after killing the Blood Maiden during the Voice of Night quest could block quest progression. I didn't notice that. Very weird. But I guess glad that I had this, I didn't have this bug. Fixed an issue where some legacy items, legacy items, like who cares, but let's see what it is. Have their affixes rerolled during seasonal migration. The intention of the change was that all stats on items should either be completely restored to what they were, or get the maximum stats if the previous values were unavailable. Oh, fixed an issue where killing Echo of Lilith did not reward a resplendent spark. Okay, so now we can finally go kill it and get a reward, but still not worth the waste of time, I think. Anyone who has killed the Echo of Lilith in any season will receive a resplendent spark this season. In future seasons, you will have to defeat her again to get one. I guess I'll go get one, because I killed her in the previous season, but not in this one, because I knew about this thing, and why would I go waste my time there? She actually doesn't drop anything useful. It drops 2 rings or a ring and an amulet and stuff like that. And now with this, it's actually a good reason to go do it, I guess. But let's discuss this thing a bit, right? Various UI, visual, and audio stability and performance improvements, right? But let's discuss this a bit now. Now, Uber Uniques are quite outperformed right now by the tampered legendaries. So I've tried the Shaco, I've tried the Starless Skies, and what I can tell is they are just worthless crap right now. Completely worthless crap right now. The other things were way more powerful or allow you better build diversity. And what I'm suggesting to fix this problem is 2 things. Allow us to get at least 1 tampering affix. I guess 1 should be fine. 2 uniques to make uniques actually unique, and also allow us a damage reduction recipe, which is a unique recipe, which could be imprinted on pretty much anything, right? As long as it's something defensive like helmet, chest piece, pants, boots. Why not? Boots, right? Also a shield. But since it's a unique recipe, to have the condition that only 1 item with such recipe tampered on could be equipped at the same time. And I believe this will actually save us a lot of trouble. But I'm looking forward to the next patch and the new seasonal powers, which they are testing now with this season, how to fine tune. We should not really feel like rad labs or lab rats or anything like, but I guess it's pretty obvious what they're doing. It's one more proof here that their organization is weak and they have no idea what they're doing, and they need a lot of statistics and a lot of feedback after 30 years in game development, after developing the genre-defining games, they have no idea how to build a new one. This should be very obvious here, but at least the graphics are good, the production is good, the sound quality is good in production as well, and the lore is good, but that's something they were always good at. Let's see how this moves on. Let me know what you think in the comments. I think this was way longer than intended, but let's get back to playing, and I'm out. See you on the next one. Take care.